Mark Henkel joined Toastmasters 4 years ago. In under 3 years, he became a distinguished Toastmaster. He has earned several Triple Crowns and countless other awards, including the Alan E. Seavey Award for sponsoring the most new members in 1 year. His record is 18 in 1 year. Al Ferguson Award for leading his club as a president to achieve all 10 goals for DCP, Distinguished Club Program, as well as distinguished area when he was Area 6 Governor, and District 45's Outstanding Toastmaster of the Year as well. In the short amount of time, Mark has sponsored 40 members, and his club teases him and has nicknamed him the Clothe. What can your guest, or why do your guests join the club, or how can they join your club? And how can your club members want to stay, retain your members? In his original workshop today, he's going to be sharing his secrets to success in helping struggling clubs grow. Please give a warm welcome to Mark Henkel presenting Clothe and Clothe.
It is my deep and compassionate hope that you really remember this workshop. Close them and clothe them. Because this will empower you with the tools to answer the fundamental two-part question of how do we help guests become members and how do we help members want to stay members. Close them and clothe them. Now, I will not be using a passive PowerPoint or visual aids, but you should have 3 blank pieces of paper in front of you and some pens, and you will be using that because it is my intention to engage your brain so that you will be able to do these things after this workshop as well. This workshop will be designed and presented in 3 segments. The first, I'll be telling a story, an illustrative story that explains why we do what we do. The second segment will be how to close them. And the third segment will be how to clothe them. But before I do that, you should have that paper in front of you. Take one of them and write on it the words permission slip. Write the words permission slip. And on this permission slip, please legibly, readably, printable, your name, telephone number, and email address. And please make sure it's printable. And if there is a dot, like in an email address, make sure you emphasize there's a dot there, or make numbers legible. So on this permission slip, it is your name, telephone number, and email address. And if you also want to include your Toastmasters Award designation, CC, DTM, or your club officer role, that's fine too. But on this permission slip, it's your name, telephone number, and email address. Now that we've got that permission slip done, let's put that to the side. We will get back to that. But right now, I want to play some fun finger games. Take your hands and stick them out to your side, like this. Doesn't have to be too far. Pull your fingers into your hands, and then wrap your thumb around your fingers. Then pull your fists together out in front of you, and then bend the fists towards each other. Now with this fist, point at the other one. And with this fist, stick the thumb up. Now put them back to fists. We're now about to switch them. So take this fist and point at the other fist. And with this one, stick the thumb up. Now before we do anything else, here's what we're going to do. I will count to 3 and then we will switch. And we will do a count of 3 3 times. And we'll switch each time. And after we've done it 3 times counting, I'll stop counting. And then we'll switch every time. We ready to try this? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, switch! 1, 2, 3, switch! 1, 2, 3, switch! No more counting! Switch! 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 Now, if you're like most normal human beings, you're not going to be able to do this. But this is a fun finger game that you can take home with you this weekend, this next week, and play with it when you're sitting there and get yourself to do that. Because this is an icon memory tool for you to remember this workshop. Close them and clothe them. 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 So that you'll be able to remember what this workshop is. So as I said, this will be presented in 3 segments. Let's go to our first segment, which is our illustrative story. In this story, I am standing in a building. Over here are several different people of different levels of dress, and they are all socializing and having a good time. Behind me here is a closet filled with women and men's clothing. Over here is a door that goes to the outside. To the left of it with a window through which I can see who's on the doorstep. The environment outside is it's nighttime, and it's freezing and snowing out. Those of us here on the east coast of the United States and Canada, we just had a long winter. We know what that's like. Well, that's the environment outside. Who's at the door? I think someone is. I look through the window. Somebody's on our doorstep. Who's there? Who's outside our door? They're crouched, and they're shivering, and they are naked! Ah! Now, the compassionate person that I am, I want to open the door and let them in. I want to welcome them and connect with them and investigate what they need to feel safe to come in and to incentivize them to come out of the cold and be warm. It's with compassion. And this person is shivering, and they're not sure, but they slowly, with timidly, they step inside and cross that door, and they make that decision. Well, the first thing I want to do with a compassionate heart is I want to come in and close the door. I want to close them. So they're now in a safe environment. So now this person's standing there. Their shivering starting to subside a little bit. But they still realize that, hey, they're naked! Now, as a passionate person, I'm not sitting here judging them. But I'm also certainly not hosting a nudist colony. So I want to bring them to the closet so that they can have some clothes. So I bring them to this closet. They see a pair of pants, and they're excited about that. Now I have to stop here for a moment. I've chosen this story to use a guy because I didn't want to be distracted saying that I was telling a story of a naked woman up here beside me. So I take this guy to the closet, and he finds the pants and finally puts the pair of pants on. Oh, he's feeling a lot better now. He's not completely naked. He's still somewhat self-conscious. So he takes a shirt and he puts that shirt on. He's feeling a little better, but socially awkward because, well, there's people there and he's barefoot. So he gets some dress shoes, puts on some dress shoes, takes a tie and puts that tie on. Something's starting to take over and he's got a sense of confidence. He's having a bit of a more solid stance about himself. There's a sport coat. Takes that sport coat on, he puts that on, and now he's full of stature, self-confidence, ready to go forward and talk and socialize with the rest of the people. I have clothed him. This story illustrates why we do what we do. We do it with compassion. We want to help bring them out of the environment and put them into a safe environment. We want to close them. And then we want to help clothe them so that they feel comfortable to stay. We want to clothe them. And so that explains and why we want to close them and clothe them, close them and clothe them, close them and clothe them. So now that we've gone through the first segment, we're now ready for our second segment, which is how to close them. The word closer, in the context of sales or in this type of situation, has different meanings to different people. What are some examples that people think the word closer means? Any ideas? Seal the deal. There's one option. Any other ideas?
Make the sale.
Make the sale. Are there any negative connotations that sometimes people have about the term closer?
High pressure.
High pressure. That's exactly right. Single-minded. Yes, that's an excellent example. Absolutely.
Against their will.
Against their will. That's a great example as well. In my experience as a Toastmaster, having sponsored more than 40 people, it has never once been about pressure. It is about speaking as an adult to an adult, asking questions, and they make the choice to come in. So it is about having a systematic process. Now, some of you may be familiar with a workshop I did about 1.5 years ago at a TLI called Be a Closer, the 5-step process for guiding guests to become members. Well, I will not give you that entire workshop here today. However, I will be giving you the memory tools by which you can remember how to apply those 5 steps. So you should have another blank piece of paper there in front of you, and I would have you put it in the lengthways position. And here's what we're about to do. Before you draw, have an understanding of what you're about to do. You're about to make 4 letters across the very center, like a line. You're going to have a letter on the far left, a letter on the far right, and then 2 letters in the middle. All about the same equal distance. This is what you're about to draw. So knowing that's what you're about to draw across your middle of your paper, in your the 2 middle letters, draw the capital letter I and another capital letter I. So the 2 middle letters of your 4 letters will be the letters I. You'll have a capital letter I and another capital letter I. Across the middle, so that you're going to have 4 letters across the middle line. Your 2 letters are I and I. Now on the far left, draw the capital letter C. And on the far right, draw the capital letter C. So that across the middle of your piece of paper, and the reason why you did the middle is you're going to go up above it too, so you want to make sure you're in the middle. You've got the letter C, I, C. Those are the 4 letters you should have. Now with your 2 letters I, what you're about to do is you're about to draw a circle around your eyes. So what you're going to first do is you're going to take and draw a semicircle arrow from the top of your left eye and draw a semicircle arrow to the top of your right eye. Knowing you're about to draw a full circle in a moment. So that is an arrow from the top of the left to the top of the right as an arrow. Make that little arrow mark to the top of your right eye. Then below that right eye, continue the circle and make another semicircle arrow up underneath the left eye. So that you have a circle around your eyes of 2 semicircle arrows around your eye. What you have just drawn is your eyeball in order to see. Your eyeball in order to see. You have to have your eyeball in order to see. You're remembering this so that you'll know how to draw this later. So now from the C on the left, draw a straight line arrow to the left eye. And from the eye on the right, continue it, another straight arrow to the C on the right. So that not counting the bottom of the eyeball, you should have a series of arrows going from the C on the left to the I on the left, semicircle to the I on the right, to the C on the right. Okay? Now, with your C on the left and the I on the left, envisioning you're about to be like a triangle. So picture somewhere up around like this, you're about to draw 1 more letter. It's the last letter. And it is the letter W, up above between the C on the left and the I on the left. And from that W, draw a straight line arrow down to your C. So that effectively what you have drawn is a fish hook with the eyeball as your bait. You've got your W to your C, to your I, to the other I, to the C. Now to make sure that we think we all have it, hold up your fish hook example to everybody else around you, and you look at theirs and they look at yours, so that you have a general idea whether you've drawn it similar. That way, if 1 or 2 or 3 of you don't feel confident, now by seeing others did it, you have an idea of what it looks like. Okay? So that it goes from the W to the C to the I to the I to the C. What do these letters stand for? Underneath this, draw 5 bullet numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that you'll understand what these letters stand for. The letter W is number 1, is welcome. Number 1 is welcome. So write welcome for number 1. For number 2, the word is connect. So that you've got welcome to connect. Then moving to the eyeball, number 3 is investigate. Investigate. So that now you've got welcome, connect, investigate. Number 4, go to the other side of the eyeball, is incentivize. Now incentivize is spelled with the letter C, like not a nickel or a dime, but a penny, a cent. So it is I-N-C-E-N-T-I-V-I-Z-E, incentivize. So that you've got welcome, connect, investigate, incentivize. And number 5 is close. because that's what we're doing. We want to close. Now you understand a little more why you need your eyeball in order to see. You need your eyeball in order to close. Now what you've drawn here, I call the permission fishing hook. And that's what it should look like, is a fishing hook with some bait on it. That's what your eyeball is, the permission fishing hook. Now how do we go about doing this? When a person first arrives as a guest at a meeting, right off the bat, you want them to feel welcome. Right off the bat, how you doing? My name's Mark Henkel. Glad you could make it. What brought you to Toastmasters? Engage them, let them feel welcome. Then when the Toastmaster calls for the different roles to be described, the table topics master will do something in addition to describing their role. They will also address the guest and say, "Dear guest, after I have given table topics to 2 of our members first so that you can see what it's like, I'll give you an opportunity to also do a table topic if you would like. Now you do not have to do it if you don't want to, but I just want you to feel welcome." And for the rest of the meeting, that guest knows they're not an outsider. They're part of the meeting now. They feel welcome for the rest of that meeting. Whether they do it or not doesn't matter. Then when the table topics master does ask them the question, take note of what they do. If they do answer it, write down the question that was asked and write down how they answered it. You will use that later. And if they don't answer a table topic reply, well, that's okay too. Take note of that also. You'll still use that. Then when the meeting's over, follow right back up. We're so glad you could be here with us. You're welcome to come to another meeting. And now I'm going to begin permission fishing. I'm going to ask a question. And the question is it okay if I send you a follow-up email in the next 24 hours? Now, what I'm doing is I'm fishing for permission to continue. See, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm finding out what level of engagement they want to make with me. So I am fishing for permission. I am throwing that line out. Do they take the bait? And if they do, they say, yeah, you can send me an email in the next 24 hours. Well, woohoo, I'm reeling them in. And I'm moving them onto the hook because they're past welcome, and I now move them to connect. Now, in that email that I send them, I first identify who I am, but first I want to make a connection with them as a human being. And I bring up the table topics. If they did a reply, I will say, oh, it was so awesome the way you answered that table topic, because not only was it awesome the way you did it, but you know, when I was a guest before I joined, I wouldn't even do a table topics. So kudos to you for doing that. And they're just like, oh, I'm feeling good about myself right now. It really helps them make that connection, that mental and emotional connection that we're human beings and we're relating. Now, if they didn't do a table topic reply, well, that's okay. I still connect with them. I'll say, no worries about not doing the table topics, because when I was a guest, I wouldn't do it either. So it's okay, so it's still all good. Either way, find a way to make that connection with them first, to relate with them as a human being. Then after that, I will give them the simple details, like our meeting is in 2 weeks. Here's the link on our website for calendar. And I'll give a very detailed explanation of the prorated rates and so forth. And then I want to move from connect to investigate. I want to do another permission fishing where I'm asking a question. See, it's about asking questions. I end the email on a question. And by ending on a question, what I'm doing is I am not just asking the question, but I'm also asking the underlying question. I'm fishing for permission to engage. Do you still want to keep talking to me? Because if they answer the question, they're telling me I still have permission. So by asking the question, I ask this. What goals do you have? What goals do you hope to achieve in your life? Because the more I understand what they are, the more I can help identify how Toastmasters may be able to help you achieve them. So what goals do you have? By ending the email on a question, they have a choice. They're either going to answer it or they're not. And if they don't want to answer it, well, that's fine. They're not wasting their time. They're not wasting mine. They don't want to continue. But if they answer it, I have cast that line out again with my investigation. And if they said yes and they gave me an answer what they want to do, woohoo, I'm reeling them in. They gave me more permission for fishing. So by doing that, they've answered that. Now we move to the other side of the eyeball to incentivize. Because now they tell me what their goals are. I try to fine-tune how Toastmasters can help them achieve that. Based on what they say, I'll say, well, this is the way Toastmasters might be able to do that. And then I end the email again on a question. It's permission fishing. Now this time, notice at this side of the eyeball, there's two different arrow possibilities. There's an arrow that goes to the C on the left, but we have the bottom of our eyeball that goes back to the I to investigate. Now the reason for this is, I'm going to do some more permission fishing, but they might not be ready to close. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer them an incentive to want to close. But they may not be ready for that, but they'll still answer my question. So at that point, I've got to go back to investigate. So here's what I'll do. I will offer them the incentive. After I've explained how Toastmasters can help them achieve their goals, I will then offer them the incentive. If I have an application already filled out for you, except for your name and address, and I could even bring a printed copy of the icebreaker, because it really sounds like you're ready to get started, would you like to meet me 15 minutes before our next meeting with a check for such and so, and we can get you started right away? Would you like that? I'm offering an incentive with this permission fishing. They're having an incentive to want to close. So again, I am permission fishing. I'm asking the question if they want to meet, but what I'm really doing is it okay for me to still keep engaging with you? Because when they answer the question, they're giving me that permission. And they come back and they'll either say they're ready to close, or they may have some more questions. And therefore, I've got to come back over, I've got to investigate more and ask more questions. What else do you need to know that I can help you with? And as that happens, I then ask it, it brings me back to the incentivize. And I try to offer another incentive. 3 things are going to happen on this stage. You are always in the eyeball until they either fall off the hook, the fish that got away, or they close. You're never giving up. You're never just hoping, like hope is a strategy, because it isn't. You are always in the eyeball. You're investigating, then you try to incentivize. If they're not ready to close, you investigate again. And you ask them more, and if they keep answering, because they're answering your permission fishing, you're back to incentivize. You're in this eyeball until they either fall off the hook or they close. And so then you meet them in the meeting, they do it, and woohoo! You closed them. That's your 5-step process for guiding guests to become members. The permission fishing hook. Welcome, connect, investigate, incentivize, and close. So you should be able to know how to draw this permission fishing hook from now on, because you've engaged your brain doing this. So now that we know how to close them, now we want to know how to close them. I have a term I call quitter predictor, which is a term that refers to behaviors we recognize that when Toastmasters do these, they're probably going to quit within the next year or two. Any examples of quitter predictors?
Attendance.
Attendance. Any other examples out there that some have?
Not signing up for roles.
Not signing up for roles, absolutely. Any other examples? Ideas of what people do that they might likely quit if that you start seeing they do them? Well, I have discovered that the single greatest quitter predictor is what I call the naked Toastmaster. And it's a term that refers to a Toastmaster who is not working for any Toastmasters goals at all. I like to tease, you did not sign up for Toastmasters to be a timer 19 times in a row. The person who is not working for a Toastmasters goal is likely going to quit within the next year or two, because they have no reason to be continuing. So that's why what I want to do is I want to take them to the closet of goals. So take another piece of paper, and on this piece of paper, also take it sideways like that, and draw a big rectangle. Most of the page, actually, and it's going to be a rectangle. And then after you've drawn that, draw a line straight through the middle, up and down, so that's into 2 halves, and then half the halves, so that take one down the middle and one down the other side, so that you've got 4 empty blocks within this big rectangle that you've drawn. So you've got one big rectangle, split in the middle, and then the 2 splits are split. So you get 4 compartments, 4 big, long, vertical compartments in your rectangles. Okay? If you want to hold them up to each other to make sure you've drawn these rectangles, this is your closet of goals. We're going to take them to the closet. It's your closet of goals. The first thing I want to do is I want to help that person get to a certain number of goals. Inside the top, across each one of these compartments, so you've got the compartment on the left, then the second, the third, and the fourth compartment. At the top, write the number 3 of the very first one on the left. It's going to be your progress. So the one on the left is 3. The next one, write the number 5 on the top inside of your second compartment. Then write the number 10 on the third inside compartment on the top. And then write a plus sign on the fourth. So that your 4 compartments should be 3, 5, 10, and a plus sign. Inside the top, inside your closet goals, right. Because you want to remember, the purpose of this is so that you can draw this any other time you want. Because this is your memory tool. It's your closet of goals. So the first thing I want to do is I want to help them get to their third speech, regardless of whether they're doing a communication goals or leadership goals. And here's the reason. You'll say, well, somebody's doing leadership, they don't care about the competent communicator. Well, actually, it's really quite brilliant the way the Toastmasters system has been designed. Because the advanced leader bronze requires that not only are you at least a competent leader to be an advanced leader, but it really makes sense that to be an advanced leader, you still also have to be at least a competent communicator. Can you imagine having someone say they're an advanced leader and they can't communicate at least competently? So I still need to get them through the competent communicator manual, even if their goals are leadership. So the first thing I want to do is get them to 3 speeches as their first goal. I want to take them to the closet. They get to that closet and they put their pants on. Now some will say to me, Mark, shouldn't the icebreaker really be the first goal? Well, it is true. You need to do your icebreaker to get to 3 speeches. But it's also kind of like you really need to put on your undergarments before you put your pants on. And most of us would feel pretty naked standing up here in just our undergarments. So that's really what the icebreaker is it's the undergarment to get to putting on the pants. Because I've also seen, in fact, recently I sponsored 2 different gentlemen. One made it to the 3rd speech, and one didn't. The one who didn't immediately became inactive. But the one who did is now going to be an officer next year. Got to get them to the 3rd speech. I have found many of the people that will quit because they never make it to the 3rd speech. So I want to get them to the 3rd speech so they put their first pants on. And here's how I do it. I offer to mentor them. And usually I tend to get a favorable response. People would like for me to mentor them. But I take it one step further. I bring them to their CL manual, their Competent Leader Manual, and show them project number 9. And project number 9 of the CL shows them that if I mentor them for their first 3 speeches, I'll get credit for doing CL project number 9. Now the beauty of this is, not that I need another CL number 9, I've done several CLs already. But the beauty of this is they're now realizing that we're now a team. That I'm helping them and they're helping me. And sometimes people will have a greater level of motivation when they're part of a team they're helping as well. It's not just, oh, well, Mark's helping me, but I can help Mark too, and we're doing this together. People will have a teamwork motivation, and so they'll push themselves. But the beauty is, they set the goal for 3 speeches. I didn't. They set it. I helped them and encouraged them, but they made that decision. And so they've got their pants on. So the next step I want to get them to is 5 in our closet of goals, where they get to that and they put their shirt on. They're feeling a little better. Now the reason for 5 is there's a beautiful thing that happens when you've accomplished certain things. When you've done 3 speeches, I can do 2 more to get to 5. That's not that tough. Once you've done 3, you know you can do 5. You can do just 2 more, and so they'll get to the half CC. Does anybody remember what Toastmasters renamed the half CC ribbon to when they rebranded? Anybody know what it is? What they called it? Yeah. Half competent communicator. I'm not calling anybody half competent. I'll stick with half CC. So at that point, I want to get them to 5, and usually that's quite easy. So at that point, they've got their shirt on and they've got their pants on. The other way around, right? Put your pants on, then your shirt. So the next goal is 10, to get them to the competent communicator, and that is the shoes and tie. Their shoes and tie. Because those are the accessories, and now what happens is they've transformed from being just in their pants and shirt, but now they're also, they've now dressed confidently. They're now looking good because now they've got dress shoes, they've got a tie. They made it to the competent communicator. But you can't stop there. There's a nightmare I've seen happen more than once. They get to project 7, 8, 9, 10. They're a competent communicator, aren't they? Quit. What? What's going on? How does that happen? They became a naked Toastmaster. They took their clothes off. They stopped having any more goals, and they were done. So that's why in our closet of goals, we've got the plus sign. And that, you want to write the word sports coat, where you've got 3, you've got their pants, 5, you've got their shirt, and 10, you've got their shoes and tie. And now in the plus sign, you want to put the sports coat on, where they're working for advanced goals. You keep them working for goals, even after the competent communicator. So that's why what we've done is we've drawn our closet of goals. Of 3, they put their pants on. 5, they put their shirt on. 10, they put their shoes and tie on. Now again, as I said, I chose this to be a guy for reasons of not being distracted. But you could have said shoes and pearls if you want to talk about it being women or any other accessory. The point is to professionalize the attire. And then finally, the plus sign is the sports coat. So that at this point, we now understand what we've done. We've clothed them. Let's recap what we've learned here. We've learned an illustrative story that explains why we do what we do. Because we care. We've learned how to close them using the permission fishing hook of welcome, connect, investigate, incentivize, and close, so that we know how to help guests become members. And we learned how to clothe them, where we learned to take them to the closet of goals with 3 to put their pants on, and 5 to put their shirt on, and 10 to put on their shoes and tie. That's right. And the plus sign to put their sports coat on. What we've done is we have clothed them. We've also learned some memory tools. And those memory tools are our catchphrase of close them and clothe them. We've learned our illustrative story, we've learned some tools, but we've also learned our fun finger games. I implore you, take this fun finger game back home and practice doing that. Because as you do, you'll remember, close them and clothe them, close them and clothe them, close them and clothe them. Earlier on, you completed a permission slip. As this workshop concludes, when I'm finished, they will come and collect those permission slips because we do not have time for a Q&A, if you want more information from me about this workshop or any other Toastmasters workshop, that's my permission fishing with you to be able to offer further assistance for you as well. Because what I really want for you is to remember this workshop. So to close, we're going to play one last thing. I'm going to say something and you're going to say it back to me. First, I'm going to say, how do we help guests become members? And you'll stick your hand up and finger and say, close them. Then I will ask, how do we help members want to stay members? And you'll stick your thumb up and say, close them. Then I'll ask both. How do we help guests become members and members stay members? And you will do both, saying, close them and close them. We all set? We're ready to do this? Let's try it. How do we help guests become members? Close them. How do we help members want to stay members? Close them. All together. How do we help guests become members and members stay members? Close them and close them. One last 3 sets of questions. This time you'll say the same thing all 3 times. I will ask a question, why? And you will say, because we care. Here it is. Why do we help guests become members? Because we care. Why do we help members want to stay members? Because we care. All together. Why do we help guests become members and members stay members? Because we care. It is my deep and compassionate hope that you really remember this workshop. Why? Because I care.